Did you make that new intro? The university? Oops, sorry.
Good morning. Today we're going to talk about the A to Z guide of personal branding. We are going to talk about whether you've never thought about branding, whether you want to improve your branding, whether you're always thinking about, am I branding enough, or how much depth am I branding, or what could I be doing better? So this is an A to Z guide, and we are going to take every letter of the alphabet apart and talk about how to do a better job of branding yourself, branding your team, and always remembering to brand LAER Realty Partners as well. So you want to be thinking about an effective personal brand, that it does wield influence, and with it you'll enjoy the benefits of a steady stream of ideal clients, rewarding relationships, leadership opportunities, and greater mind share. You always want to be out there doing a better job of promoting yourself. And how do we go about doing that? We've talked before about a market niche. What neighborhood are you marketing to? How are you promoting that on your website to tell people that you're the mayor of your community, that you are familiar with the neighborhood that you are marketing? You want to also give yourself better credibility to the people that you're trying to promote yourself to. Recognition and prestige and a higher perceived value. So let's take each of these apart and talk about them. So A is authenticity. Anything other than the real you won't do. My friend Katie Lance always says, lean into who you are, not who you are not. Know what your best attributes are and use those to your advantage. Discover exactly what makes you fascinating. Build your brand on your true strengths. Don't have yourself be like everybody else. Be unique to what you are good at, and show those strengths in your branding.
And if you're fake, they're going to see right through you.
Absolutely, yeah, that's true. So B is about blog. We have a blog on our LAER website. You can do a WordPress blog, and an insightful website is the engine of your personal brand. Your blog is its fuel. You need to start a blog, and once you do, there's no stopping. What does the blog tell about? The blog tells about you. The blog tells about your branding. Again, back to the niche neighborhood. Are you talking about your town, your community, what you know about it? Best place to have coffee, best pizza place, best park, libraries, whatever. So that people recognize what you know about your neighborhood. Content, of course, is the key to everything that you do. Don't just throw things out on the internet, on your social media. Have a strategy for your content. Valuable content has a magnetic power. It's going to make people want to look at you more consistently. Create an interesting mix of content to earn the mind share and trust your brand needs. Again, to be consistent, to have a strategy, to
have a plan.
Have a plan. Sorry, that was it. Whether you use later.com or what's the one that you use?
App Post or Affy.
Yeah.
Or Twitter, Hootsuite, all that stuff.
Again, my friend Katie Lance does all of her planning on Friday afternoon for the following week. Put all of your posts together at one time so that you know what your strategy is for the upcoming week. Your content is the key to people understanding you, and again, understanding what your strengths are. Define your audience. This is something that Facebook can help you with a lot with your targeted audiences. To focus on the needs of your readers, you must define their points and identify how you can help. We've talked before about even something as simple as using Pinterest. for Buyer 101. Go into Pinterest and find out the points that you can help people with as you try to build a relationship. What are you looking for? What neighborhoods are you looking for? What is on your wish list? How to help them in their steps of finding a home and understanding what they need. Conducting surveys, always doing a poll or asking a question on social media gets a good response. And that's something that's very useful. An email list. Email is your ace. The money media. It's private, permission-based, and pervasive. Commit to developing an email list and using it. So a lot of different ways to do that. We've talked before about groups. What are your A-list people? In Buffini, we have an A-list and a B-list. Who are your most important clients? Are they your past clients? Are they the people that you're working with the most? Are they your repeat clients? Are they your investors? And emailing them on a regular basis to be consistent and to be constantly punching up with them. It's very important to understand who are you emailing to, what are the groups, putting them in groups so that you aren't forgetting them. What is your focus? Blurry brands language. Now, what that means is, again, what we said in the beginning, focus on what you are good at. What are your strengths? You need to take a moment and examine yourself and say, what are my strengths? What parts of social media am I better at than others? And concentrate on those first and then try to build the other ones as you go along. But you need to start with your strengths and build from there. Define your brand with a focused niche to connect with the minds of those you aim to influence. So again, we talked about the niche neighborhood. We talked about being the mayor of your community, to understand the neighborhood that you are trying to focus on, being the mayor of the neighborhood, to interview the shopkeepers, to say, why did you start a bakery on Main Street? What do you like the most about the business that you're doing? To just go in and say, my favorite coffee in this place or my favorite muffin is. Just to tell about the neighborhood so that people understand that you know the community and you are an expert on the community. To tell about an upcoming festival that's happening, or a new neighborhood playground that was built, or something like that. Again, shows that you understand and you're marketing the community. Graphic design is always a challenge. Is that something that you're doing yourself or you're having someone help you do? Everything you create should be presented with class and continuity. Our Boston Logic websites are very good about that being a great beginning for you. Develop a tasty logo, a color palette, and design standards that reflect well on your brand. In Jostle, in the logo, we have an entire logo section where you can pick logos to use. Remember to consistently brand everything. Your brand should be recognizable every place that you post things, so that your picture is the same, the LAER logo that you use is the same, that your branding is consistent. Helping others. Don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Find ways to be helpful. Be the first to volunteer, to connect with people, or get behind any meaningful mission. This can be done in a lot of ways, whether it's volunteering with Habitat for Humanity, whether it's getting on a committee with NEAR or with MAR or even with NAR, to be out there in the community, to give back to the community, to help with a local library, or again, building a playground, or even with the disasters that we've had in the Merrimack Valley this week, any place like that, it's not about you getting the advertising for it, it's about you giving back, because that's what we want to be about. More than being a real estate company, we are about giving back to the community, and we all want to do that in our own way. So find one thing that you can do to reach out to the community that you are in and help be part of that community. Influencers. Influential professionals have prominent friends. Seek out leaders. Surround yourself with them. Find a way to be of value to them. So in our LAER University, Stacy has interviewed so many influential people. Look at those and try to follow them. Follow them on Facebook or in their blogs or something, and learn from them. Interview people yourself. Go to the mayor of your community and say, do you mind if I interview you for 5 minutes, and write a blog about it. Leaders in our real estate boards, we have many different real estate boards in our company, but interview those people, learn from those people. Go to educational events. Every time you go to an educational event, you're going to learn something from somebody. Take the time to have a conversation with the speakers and learn from them, and then use their quotes or something that you've learned from them and put it on your social media. You're learning yourself, and then you're sharing with that, and that can also add to your branding to help you tell more about yourself. Join is a little bit like that as well. Affiliations are all important to the growth of your brand. Find groups that you'd be proud to be part of. Get involved in and make your presence known. There's a Women's Council of Realtors on the South Shore that's very, very successful. Be part of your real estate board, your NAR, be part of Habitat for Humanity, be like Brit. Any organization that can help you to become a better person, not only as a realtor, but as a well-rounded entrepreneur of your own business. And again, that will also help you to expand your branding. Keywords. When surfing, go a-Googling. Which words will lead people to you? Build a short list of the most relevant keywords and use them often. What would you like to say about that?
Well, it depends on exactly what you're trying to do with your branding. Like, who are you trying to focus on? Who is your main person? What do you want your brand to say or look like? I think is going to be the hardest thing for most people. I know that, people that are creating teams, they want to make sure that they have their own logo, their own brand, their own little thing, that when they send something out, it's branded to them. They know it's them. You can recognize them.
So it's a wording or a phrase?
You could do a wording, you could do a photo, you could do like how LAER has a LAER logo. You can create your own logo for your own team. And I think that people that kind of don't think about it before they throw it out there, I think it's a bigger process, because for one, you want it to be clear. You want it to be consistent with what you're trying to share with the world. You don't want it to be too many words or too many different colors. So I think that's the hardest thing that we would have to, figure out first. And, there's a lot of real estate logos out there with houses and teams and all that stuff. And what's going to make you different, that people are going to remember that? All these big brands like, M&M, Wendy's, like all these food brands, as soon as you see the symbol, what it means. So in order to get to that level, you need to, one, be consistent and be really smart with your content and exactly what your brand will look like.
We have one agent on the North Shore who, I can't remember the story exactly, but it had to do with dogs and rescue. And now she's known for that, and she accentuates that on her website and her branding. I know also that we've seen agents who concentrate on horse properties. So again, they're known for that. I think Stacy talked the other day about somebody who was keying in on being the resource for people who are getting divorces. It's a niche, but is that a niche that can be recognizable? Whatever the niche is that you decide to concentrate on, be consistent about it. That's what it's all about, is whatever those keywords are. We talked about hashtags the other day. Keywords can relate to the hashtags. Use those hashtags consistently. LinkedIn. It's today's who's who of the professional world. It's really, really important to make sure that your LinkedIn bio is up to date. If something changes, whether you've changed a company or whether you've gotten a new NAR designation, make sure that you've updated your LinkedIn, because that's the first place that people are going to look at to find out about you before they decide to use you as a realtor. Take LinkedIn seriously and master it. It's every nook and cranny. So take a look at that. Make sure that your picture is up to date. Make sure your bio is up to date. Make sure that it reads correctly about you, because that's where people are going to look to see how professional you are and what it says about you.
Yeah, resumes nowadays are mute. Like, they don't really matter. They go on social media. They want to see your real business, what you're doing out there in the field. In your private life is very important now, because if you are doing something inappropriate in your private life on social media, that reflects badly on the company that you're working with. So they are very invasive now, because everyone puts their stuff out there on social media, and it's so much easier to either get in trouble on social media with your business, or, you know, kind of scare off certain types of clients on the way that you present yourself. So if you're willing to, you know, be negative, or arguments about, you know, random politics and things like that, it might affect you. And some people don't care, which is fine. That's totally fine. But, you know, you still can have your opinions and work with other people and not even get involved in that type of stuff. So resumes basically don't mean anything. It's all about what your profile online is showing.
The other part of LinkedIn is that people want to know, in any bio that you're doing, people want to know that beyond being a real estate person, that you are a human being with other interests. For instance, I've been playing handbells for 35 years. Everyone knows that about me. Kiki just became a soccer coach. You know, let people know what your interests are outside of real estate. What else are you doing in life? Are you a person that volunteers for Habitat for Humanity on Saturday? Or whatever it is. People want to know that you have more of a life than just real estate. So include that part of it as well, because that gives people an understanding of you.
And it lets them relate to you. So they see that you're a mother, they see that you have dogs, they see certain things about you that they have in common with you. It's going to be a little bit easier for them to take you personally and trust you a little bit more. And it's that human connection that we crave for, but we're finding it through online. And it makes it just an easier doorway for us to step through and have a conversation with these people.
So again, to add to that, media is more complex than ever and more vital. Identify the outlets that are the most valued in your field and use their tools to elevate your brand. So again, Kiki talked about this last week, even with Instagram, that not only Instagram, but Snapchat. I mean, it's hard in the beginning to be everywhere. Start with the beginning, do that well, and then add to it. Instagram stories, for instance, is another way for you to talk about your soccer game that you just coached on Saturday morning, or that you just played handbells at a concert in Copley Square in Boston. Whatever it is, add to that to let the personal side of you be known beyond being a realtor.
And I think a lot of people are afraid to do that because it's not perfect. And real life is not perfect. It's a disaster. So when people see that you're trying, or you stutter on, camera, or, you fall or trip, or you're, shaking the camera while you're doing it, it's real life. That's what happens. You're real, you're true, you're being yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing that people are afraid of. It's not perfect, I can't post it. Social media is not about being perfect. It's about showcasing you, yourself, your life, exposing who you are. And I think that goes a longer way. A lot of people wait and try to, make it perfect. And one, you're delaying your exposure. And obviously you're going to get better as you go. But even if you say, hey, this is my first time on camera, I'm just testing it out, people are going to give you credit, or, it's just, you just got to take the first step. And I think that's the hardest one that we got to deal with.
One of the easy first steps for video is if you do a Facebook Live, you're at your open house, the first 5 seconds you say, hi, this is Susan, today I'm at 123 Main Street, and then turn the camera.
Yes.
It's about the house, it's not about you. Yes, you're still talking and say, look at this beautiful house, but you've turned the camera. So if you're afraid of it being on you for the whole time, don't have it be about you. You've introduced your open house, and then give them a tour of the open house, and then you've accomplished your first video. So experiment, be out there and be brave. Again, networking, make connections locally, regionally, globally. Have a business card or something of even greater value to distribute. Follow up and follow through. So whether you're part of your local board or the Massachusetts Association of Realtors or New Hampshire, get out there and be part of that. Give them your business card. Take business cards. Send a thank you note. It was nice to meet you today. You never know when that might turn into a referral or a conversation or an interview that you can use on your blog. It's getting to know other people and learning from them. This week we have the conference at the DCU Center for the Massachusetts Association of Realtors. Think of the people that we'll meet, the speakers that we will hear, and again, that's a great way to network. So be part of your local groups. We have people in our offices. Kristen Chet is and just not. It's not taking a stand, but not. It's starting with what your strengths are. It's what we said in the beginning. But be bold enough to stand for something, and that way people will recognize you and relate to you. That's what's important. We're going to continue without the streaming of it? Okay. P is for photos. Your face must appear across all social spheres. Again, the consistency of having the same professional photo. I know that we've tried very hard at LAER to have everybody taking the same photo, but that should be recognizable on everything that you do, so that if it's just listed or just sold postcard, or it's something on social media, that it's the same picture being used, so that the consistency is there, so that they remember, oh yeah, that's the person I just saw on some other piece of branding.
And of course, don't catfish. Make sure your photos are up to date and done by a professional. You could always spot the amateur that just took a selfie in the car, and you can see the car in the back of the photo. If you're doing branding, make sure that at least your photo is done correctly and by a professional. And
we try to, at most of the LAER events that we try to have a photographer there so that you can update your photo and have an up-to-date photo for all of your branding. So make sure, back to LinkedIn and every place else, make sure your photo is up to date.
And that you're smiling and happy. Some people don't like to smile, but, just make sure you're look like a friend.
Questions. Ask questions. Ask people to tell you their stories. Ask for their ideas, and then listen. When you ask a question, take the time to listen to what the person's answer is. Everyone loves a good listener. So again, whether you're at a NAER event or a MAR event or any kind of educational event that you're going to, or if you're just at a social event in LAER, try to talk to the other people. Listen to what their experiences are. You're going to learn from everything that you listen to, and that can be used in your blog as well. But you're always going to glean something from a conversation that you have, and it helps with your networking as well.
And see what they're doing. See what you like about what they're marketing and how they're presenting themselves. You're always getting ideas from everyone else. So it's a good spot to start.
Recognize you won't achieve your goals on your own. Privately and publicly, recognize the contributions of every person who has played a part in your brand development. So if someone has helped you out, if you've gone to an event where you've learned something, recognize them, give them thanks publicly, acknowledge what you've learned from them. They're going to appreciate that. You're acknowledging what you've learned, and you can never say enough about acknowledging and appreciation of what people have done for you. So that's really, really important. Again, slogans, that's a part of branding as well. And you may not be able to do that right at the beginning, but your brand should be the promise you make. Work at developing a unique selling proposition and express it in a concise, memorable slogan. So again, what did Katie Lance say? Lean into who you are and not who you are not. So start with that. What are your strengths? And start with that as a beginning slogan, and then you can progress it from there.
So the LAER slogan is the roar that opens more doors. So I think this is going to be a second hardest thing to do when you're looking for a brand and what you want your brand to say. We also have local agents, extraordinary results. So you want something to be straight to the point, short, and talk exactly about what you're offering. You don't want it to be too long. You don't want it to be too many words or very complicated to remember. It could be an acronym. It could, I think if you want a slogan, I think it sticks in people's heads a little bit longer if it rhymes or just easy to say. It's just another step of creating something that's consistent and easier to remember you. You want them to always remember.
Yeah, and again, you don't want it to be bland or too general. I mean, if you say, I'm your expert in the Merrimack Valley, that's kind of all-encompassing with about 20 different towns. If you were to say, I'm your expert for horse properties or, whatever it is, it's a little bit more specific so people will remember that.
And if it can be corny or funny, I think that catches people's attention and it makes them remember. If it's a joke or a little silly, it sticks in their mind a little bit like, oh, that was funny, that made me feel a certain way. Feeling will take you a longer way than any just generic, I'm your realtor. That's boring.
So teaching. Every person you admire taught you a valuable lesson. Commit to nurturing the teacher within and build your brand by becoming a trusted advisor. Now this can be as simple as when you're a new agent just starting out. If you're writing on your blog or on your Facebook or your social media the lessons for Buyer 101. What are you looking for? What neighborhoods? What is on your wish list? If you're helping them with an understanding, you're educating them. So help give infographics, help with them understanding the steps of getting a mortgage or the steps of buying a house or the staging to do before you list your house, whatever it is. Then, again, the teaching opportunities that we all have, whether it's in our board or going to educational events that are held anywhere in our area or in the country, use those as learning opportunities for you that you then share to build your brand. So that's helpful as well. Understanding triggers. Weak brands focus solely on intellectual arguments. Strong brands tap into emotions. It's what Kiki just said. Have a niche that people can identify with. The subject you need to master is psychology. Become a student of that. How are you going to get people to identify with you? Not by being bland, but being bold and finding a niche that works for you and talks about you and what you are about. Your voice. People remember how you made them feel. What you say is important, but how you say it is even more important. Develop a unique and genuine voice. When you ask a question, stop and pause and listen to what their response is. Acknowledge the response so that you show the sincerity of listening to what they're saying.
I think the way you say things is a big factor because in my personal life, I have 3 children. The way I say something to them is going to be different from the way that I would speak to an adult. So, and it's just, you have to get to their level of understanding and their emotional, status of exactly how you say things. So if I say something to you, it's going to be different. You're an adult, you understand the world, you understand a little better of what I'm going to say to you. If I'm talking to my kids, it's going to be short and to the point and a little bit, censored or whatever it is, just said differently. So I think that's a big way that people forget.
Also, when you're interviewing a person that you're just meeting, say to them, is this your first home? Or it could be an investor who's owned 6 homes. Yeah. Are you going to speak to them completely differently? Absolutely. Yeah. The first-time home buyer, you're going to be explaining all the steps more carefully than somebody who's owned 6 homes and is seasoned at it.
Yeah, and people get offended if you talk to them like they don't know anything. So always ask questions like, how much do you know? And sometimes they'll tell you, like, well, we know stuff, we know, but you tell us what's going on. So that way you reassure them of what they do know, or maybe they're just afraid to tell you that they don't know anything, and they want to not appear like they don't know anything about the real estate world, and then that's when you kind of break it down for them. So yeah, they search and Google and everything, but they're going to believe someone in the world of real estate that explains it to them right in front of them again. Even though they've read and researched and all that stuff, they want to make sure that what they've read and researched is actually true. So
winning friends and influencing people. Dale Carnegie's classic book remains unsurpassed as the manual for understanding the essence of influence. Reread it and win new friends. So again, it is about the sincerity, it is about the listening and having people gain their confidence in you. Again, your branding is part of that too. So the blogging as well, tell your story. Instagram stories. Always be telling the story so that people can recognize what you are about. Your X-ray for all online efforts is analytics. Deploy Google Analytics. So this is kind of a step that we will be getting into when we start talking. We're going to start doing some tech classes on Wednesdays, and your analytics are very important. It goes back to a lot of the things that we've talked about this month, including hashtags and your social media presence. But your analytics is the examination of how you are being reached, how your focused audiences are being established, and how they are helping you. Additional tools to inform you of how visitors behave on your site and what you can do to improve what you're putting out there and what their experience is. And again, this is all building your branding as well. The first rule of writing emotively is using the first person. You are I. The reader is you. If you want to push their buttons, write conversationally. So get into it. Don't be bland, be bold, and be yourself. Zeal is a strong feeling of interest and enthusiasm that makes one determined to do something. Without it, there's no point in building a brand. So you need to step back and think of, what do you want to build? What does my social media presence look like right now? If you need a place to start, ask about it. Start with something, lean into your strongest points, and start building something so that you have a bold brand and not a bland brand. And start somewhere.
I had a story that I wanted to share with you guys. I make fun of myself when I do stupid things online, or, I'll do something in real life and then I'll sit there and talk about it online because I just think it's hilarious. And one story in particular, I was showing a house to a client. They were first-time home buyers, husband and wife, young couple, and they had the house that we were going to was in Pepperell, and we were trying to get in the house. And it was a super key. You know how, they require electronics and your app and your phone and all that stuff. So I'm literally sitting there for about 5 to 10 minutes trying to open the door. And it was because I was using my car starter instead of my key fob. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, this thing isn't working, and whatever. So then I finally figured it out, what was I doing wrong, because they're the same size. And then later on, they had no idea what was going on. They just thought it was broken, and, I didn't say anything. So then I came clean afterwards on Snapchat. They were following me on Snapchat, and I, went on telling the story. I'm like, yeah, we're standing out there for, 20 minutes and just chit-chatting, trying to get the store open. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm an idiot, and I was using the wrong thing to, open the door. And they thought that was hilarious. So the next time I saw them, they're like, that story was so funny.
Right.
Just be real and funny and show your personality, and people love that about you. The more of you show uncensored, the better human connection that you'll get. So I think it's very important to showcase who you are. If you have kids, I know people are a little protective of showing your kids online, but you're gonna be out there anyways, and it's memories you'll always see forever online. I get memories online all the time of what I did the past few years, and it's great to see that. And you can be protective, and you can only show what you want to show, and that's the beauty of social media, is you pick and choose what you want the world to see. So it's pretty easy on that aspect to figure out what's funny and what's not, and be your true self. But I think uncensored is the best way to go, because they just know who you are. They understand you.
You said that so many times. You said that if the more you're online, it feels though you're alive, that you exist.
Yes.
And how do you see the older generation applying those very things that you're saying, like share, be uncensored?
Well, see, I feel like with the younger generations, if you're not online just to be online, at least have a profile, you basically don't exist. But I think the older generation has their own unique way to still go not online. They do it in person and one-to-one connection. So they still have that. I feel like they have a better understanding of all the new millennials, that they don't have that human contact. So I feel like they're still doing it, just on a one-to-one level, behind the scenes. It's not necessarily online. So they make basically a bigger effort. It's a lot easier to do everything online because you get to reach more people. But I feel like the older demographic, they still go behind. She brought me a banana nut muffin the other day. Millennials aren't doing that nowadays. So I give them more credit because it's more effort, more going out of their way, but that lasts longer, in my opinion.
Oh.
So it's a different demographic. They're still doing it, but it's just different. So social media is the easier way to do it, and you not have to be driving everywhere to do that.
So you're not going to make a banana bread anytime soon for anyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
But to that point, that goes back to who are you talking to?
Yeah.
If you're
who do you want to deal with? Who do you want to work with? You got to get on their level, do
Absolutely.
what they want, and just be them. Mm-hmm. What would you like as being them? I'm a millennial. Even though that meant a lot to me, but I usually don't do that for other people.
That's what
Unless,
I do.
and she cooked it. I would probably go buy it at a store and send it to whoever it needs to be sent to.
I see.
So it's a different level of caring. Not caring, but I don't know, just more
Expression,
effort,
yeah.
expression.
Yeah.
That's how she expresses herself, and then I will probably, I don't know, send her a card or, you know, do things in person while I'm with her. She went out of her way to do it, you know what I mean? So I think the older demographic, you know, will do the same thing that we're trying to share with you guys and showcase what we need to do to make sure you know, care and market to your groups. But at the same time, they're still doing it. It's just a different tactic.
Different.
So,
If you have any questions about branding, where to start, or what to do, just contact Kiki or I anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.